It is Monday, January 9th, and the time is 5:31 p.m. And I'll call this work session to order. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy the start of 2023. We are going to start with city updates. So Ms. Solano, please take it away.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, City Council, and Mayor Gradisar. A very brief city update this evening. First of all, the COVID news is the COVID 1 week cumulative positivity case count is at 80.20 with a positivity rate of 5.4. So down definitely from the last several weeks of information sharing. And Pueblo County has now 10 days of declining or stable patient hospitalizations at Parkview. That is all good news. And lastly, in the COVID area, the Pueblo County Health Director, Randy Evans, he will be attending City Council session on January the 23rd, and he will provide the update from Pueblo Department of Public Health and Environment on COVID and flu and RSV and any other updates from the Health Department. Moving on to ARPA, we had initially said we would be providing an ARPA update of the 2022 summary and a discussion and planning for 2023 this evening. And as we modified and accommodated tonight's work session schedule with Chair Martinez, we moved the ARPA summary to next Monday. We will send you all the information ahead of time, so including the slide deck, likely by Thursday afternoon, so you can ahead of time to write any notes or ask any questions on next Tuesday evening. Monday is the holiday, so we meet with a work session Tuesday evening. And for the remaining city updates this evening, I'd like to turn over the microphone to Mr. Daniel Cordova from the Native Lands radio station in New Mexico. He would like to share a 2-minute update about the radio station and their partnership work with the Pueblo Latino Chamber of Commerce. And when he finishes, it will also conclude the city updates for the evening. And then I'll ask if you have any directions or questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm here on behalf of Native Winds Radio. It's the newest radio station which I want to embrace the city of Pueblo. With this, it's a Hispanic cultural Native Winds multicultural native radio station. With this, I would like to provide services to the city of Pueblo, such as getting your chief on at least twice a month, your fire department, your mayor, city council, saying what's going on with Pueblo, getting out the message to the constituents of Pueblo. One of the biggest, I had a meeting this morning with Noah from the Latino Chamber of Commerce. We are working together with the Latino Chamber of Commerce to get all the information that Pueblo needs to get out through a Hispanic radio station. It's KWNZ, where we want to provide services as far as for our seniors, all the way to our youth. Right now, I think that our culture, as far as even our Spanish culture, is being lost. The language, you know, my kids, they understand it, but they don't talk it at all. So I feel that I've been in Pueblo for a lot of years. Music, I've been in the Festival Fridays, you know, you name it. I'm sure you probably heard of the family Los Cordovas. My brother is Darren Cordova, and I'm Daniel. And, you know, we just want to bring that unity. I'm sure you've heard of the Mother's Day celebration in New Mexico. I want to bring something to Pueblo, such as Father's Day celebration, make it free to the public, you know, make it free to the public to enhance just the culture around it, multicultural. The reason why it's named Native Winds Radio, somos nativos de donde somos. We're native wherever we come from. It doesn't matter if you come from wherever, you're a native from where you're from. And that's why, and our motto is the music lies in where the wind blows. As long as it's good music, we're gonna play it. You know, we want to just embrace a lot of the issues when it comes to crime. You know, I feel that once a month or twice, it's all up to you guys. We're here to help the city of Pueblo along with the Latino Chamber of Commerce, where we could have, you know, your mayor coming in, and which he has a nice electric car there that I got to ride in, you know, to have him come in and talk about what's taking place in the city manager, or whoever you would like, the fire department, if they have issues in certain areas, the police department, your chief, you know, if he has certain areas in Pueblo that he needs to address, well, he can go live on the radio station. We promote it socially to make sure everyone knows that he's going to be on it, plus on the radio station. So that's just a little bit of what I would like to present to you guys. If you have any questions of how it works or how it would take place, we'll be here next week. We have another meeting with the Latino Chamber because we're putting on the 44th annual Latino Chamber Conference. So we want to get some entertainment there, you know. So I left this morning and I got your mariachi from one of the schools. So that one of the schools I went to, I think it's out on, I forget, they have a mariachi anyway. So I said, you know what, I think this is what we should have at the Latino Chamber of Commerce. So the kids, the youth, so we're bringing some entertainment for you guys for the Latino Chamber of Commerce. We just want to bring unity. Our motto of the radio station is unity, community, and culture. That's the number one. So if I yield to any questions, we'll be around Pueblo a lot. We'll be doing a lot of different events with nonprofit organizations. I feel that as long as people know what's taking place in your community, that's what we want to do for you guys. Far too often, you know, it gets in different areas, you lose it. And how come we didn't put it there? How come we didn't do that? We just want to be a partner in making sure that Pueblo gets the message of what they need out there when it comes to human healthcare, what it takes, whatever it takes to just let everybody be informed.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Cordova and Ms. Solano for those updates. What questions are there from council? Mr. Maestri.
With station number?
It's KWNZ-DB. It's digital broadcast. What that is, it's on internet and digital. The reason why I'm a executive board member for the New Mexico Dealers Association for all car dealers in New Mexico. And when we were planning this radio station, all the board members are coming to me and saying, Daniel, do you realize that the new cars aren't coming out with AM, FM tuners no more? A lot of them aren't. So they're all coming out with satellite. They're all coming out with Google, you name it. So in 6 months, we can go terrestrial, but I doubt we see a need to go terrestrial with that. I mean, the digital quality, wherever you're at, you don't have to be in your car to see it. You don't have to be, to hear it. You can turn on your phone, you know, you can hear it there. We're just going to be proactive in the community of Pueblo and Southern Colorado.
Is it bilingual or is it?
It is bilingual. It is bilingual. We will also have Native American programs on there to enhance the schools. We will also be with one of the schools. We're talking with the chamber also. They have a interactive part of the chamber where they're, photo, videos, audio. So what I offered is if there's a high school student that would like to learn what radio is all about, they can DJ from the Latino Chamber of Commerce. They can DJ from their home, with the technology nowadays.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments? Ms. Solano, I'm curious if there's any update with the trash $1 million team up to clean up positions.
There will be an update next Tuesday, a full update with respect to the current hiring and any schedule, all the supplies that have been purchased and the equipment that's been ordered.
Okay, seeing no other questions or comments, I wanted to just make sure that we're all seeing as well the upcoming work sessions for 2023. We have it in front of us. If there's any work sessions, again, that we want on the calendar, feel free to email the mayor's office, but definitely take a look at that. Okay, so next then on our agenda is a proposal renaming Pueblo Boulevard to Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. So can I please have Ms. Mack and Mr. Wiley to the podium? Mr. Wiley, whenever you're ready.
Uh, Work session president, Councilor Martinez, other councilor members, Mayor. Thank you for the opportunity to address this group. My name is Ron Wiley, and with me is Roxana Mack, president of the Pueblo branch of the NAACP. Also in attendance are representatives of numerous community serving organizations. We have the Juneteenth Organization of Pueblo, League of Women Voters of Pueblo, Pueblo African American Concern Organization, Pueblo Human Relations Commission, Pueblo Ministerial Fellowship, as well as many individuals from the community. This request to address the city is twofold. One, to ensure city leadership is aware of the desire of the community, and specifically the people of color, to have a major roadway within Pueblo named for the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And secondly, to ask for city leadership support, whatever that may be, in making this initiative happen. Simply put, our goals today are to make you aware of this initiative and ask for your support, however possible. Some recent background in reference to our path here today. The community has long sought the designation of a roadway in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King. Central Avenue was previously sought for that designation. When the county formed a committee to name the new road connecting Pueblo and Pueblo West, we saw that as an opportunity to aggressively pursue the naming of that roadway in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King. The legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King resonates with us all. His passion for respecting all individuals, equal access to basic civil and human rights, and love for all mankind. Honored with a major roadway connecting two diverse communities within Pueblo County, that being Pueblo and Pueblo West, we saw that as wholeheartedly appropriate. But as we know now, that was not to be. Subsequently, we have been in discussion with city and county leadership. One, to express our frustration and disappointment. It's important that we be reminded of Dr. King's efforts and the fact that we do still have a long way to go. And second, to commit to working together with city and county leadership to identify a roadway and bring this initiative to fruition. As a result of those discussions, some possible candidates have been identified. One is Pueblo Boulevard, Highway 45, beginning at Thatcher and the Pueblo Boulevard intersection, and north to Highway 50 intersection. Second, Highway 50 at I-25 around exit 101 and continuing south to the interchange at exit 102, about 1 mile. Thirdly, Pueblo Boulevard, again, Highway 45, beginning at the Highway 50 intersection at Pueblo Boulevard and continuing south to I-25. And fourth, the Troy Avenue at the Troy Avenue and Highway 50 intersection and continuing north through the current developments in that area around CSU Pueblo. And keeping in mind that that roadway may extend all the way to I-25 ultimately. We recognize the designation of a roadway, whether a new name or a name change, is not done haphazardly and requires planning and action by city and county leadership. As you are aware, communities and most cities throughout this country recognize Dr. King's contribution to society via the naming of roadways. The diversity within the Pueblo community is celebrated and speaks volumes to understanding and acknowledging the rich cultural environment we live in. As of 2014, there were 900 streets in 41 states with roadways named after Dr. King. 16 cities have major freeways named after Dr. King. Colorado Springs has named a major freeway portion of Highway 24 in honor of Dr. King. Denver's Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard runs the entire eastern portion of Denver, all the way through Denver and portions of Aurora. Communities continue to view the designation as a source of recognition and a way to carry on Dr. King's unfinished work to create racial equality and economic justice for all. Greater visibility tends to communicate the legitimacy of Dr. King's message. Your Pueblo community, specifically people of color, respectfully ask for consideration and support of Pueblo Boulevard from the intersection of Highway 50 and south to the I-25 entrance and exit be named in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King. The roadway is preferable for the following reasons. It connects with a major roadway, I-25 on one end and Highway 50 on the other end. It runs through a substantial portion of the community. It requires minimal address changes as many of those are connected to the adjoining streets. And for visitors entering the city from the south, the recognition will provide a source of pride, a welcome recognition for those of us in the struggle, and a positive addition and recognition of the diversity in our community. Given Dr. King's legacy of nonviolence, civil disobedience, and the advancement of civil rights of all people, it is appropriate and overdue that his legacy be recognized via a major roadway within Pueblo County. Finally, and ultimately, I hope we have accomplished our two goals of making you aware of this initiative and requesting your support in bringing this initiative to fruition. For your information, the NAAC Pueblo branch will host the 2023 MLK Junior Day Community March and Day of Service in partnership with the Pueblo Ministerial Fellowship, CSU Pueblo, and El Pueblo History Museum on Monday, January the 16th, beginning at 12 o'clock noon in front of Rawlins Library, and proceed down Union Avenue to El Pueblo History Museum, where there will be opportunities for community service for the rest of the day. All are welcome, and it is truly a display of the diverse community we have. Thank you for your leadership, your support of this initiative, if appropriate, and the opportunity to share this important initiative with you. Thank you.
Excuse me. Thank you, Again, my name is Roxana Mack, and I am the proud president of the NAACP Pueblo branch. I just wanted to iterate some of the things that Mr. Wiley has said. More than 900 cities in 41 states, including Washington, DC and Puerto Rico, and to include Colorado, have streets named after Martin Luther King Jr. We stand united as part of this community in making this request. As it has been said, it is long overdue, and we asked you to look at our 2023 theme. As it reads, we can't wait. The time is now to be impactful. It's time, this initiative, you can be impactful. So to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his legacy is more than listening to his speeches, but it's to take action to further his legacy in being more inclusive. This step will show the community, the state, and the nation Pueblo values what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. stood for and stands for. We still have a long way to go, but we can get there together, unified. And we ask that you would consider the street name initiative honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mack and Mr. Wiley, for coming here and talking a little bit about that initiative. What questions are there from council? Councilor Flores.
You know, I'm 100% wholeheartedly for this initiative. I think it's I'll reiterate again that I am 100% behind this. I think it's long overdue. And I think that, you know, this is a great time to do this at this time. I just wanted to ask our legal counsel here about our ability as a city to change a highway that is really under the control of the state of Colorado. And we may have to do it in a different fashion, but we still have, you know, the ability through PACOG, the Pueblo Area Council of Governments, to potentially get this done. But Mr. Kagosa, can you enlighten us, I guess, about the authority that the city council has in renaming a state highway?
Well, the state highway is under the jurisdiction of CDOT. But CDOT is saying that they almost always agree with a proposal coming from the local community. So if there is support for this, I think the Pueblo Area Council of Governments is another entity, you know, to be involved. But if there is local support for renaming a state highway, I believe that CDOT will agree to make the change.
Great, that's good news. Yeah, I'd like to begin the process and bringing that forward because it does take some time because there's signage, there's the legal aspect of it and all of that. But I'm wholeheartedly behind this. So we'll work through all of those other issues and talk to CDOT and try to move this forward. You bet.
Councilor Maestri.
Has anybody offered to help you navigate through this process, to tell you the way? 'Cause I don't know the path. Had the opportunity to be on this in Senate chambers up at the state, where I've seen several people bring an initiative like yours in front of the Senate up there at the state Senate and get it passed. So I don't know if maybe you need to incorporate even our local state senator in helping you do so. But when it's a state highway like that and the state is involved, it actually goes through a process even at the state capitol in order to allow you for the name change. I've seen it a couple of times and I don't know, maybe like I said, the state senator could even additionally offer some help to that. If they need a letter from the community, I'm sure here on council, we would be willing to do that. PACOG may be willing to do that also. But I've seen where they've granted it at the Capitol, the state Capitol in chambers. You're welcome.
Counselor Tencio.
Yeah, I'm totally in favor of naming a street. Since our last conversation, we brought it up some time ago. I've gotten some calls from businesses on Pueblo Boulevard and the detriment to their ability to fund changing their names and changing their literature, changing everything. I had suggested Troy. You have that on your list. Troy is going to become a major thoroughfare starting at literally 4th Street. It goes all the way up through past Highway 47. And you're right, there are plans for that street to curve all the way around to I-25 on the north. So I would suggest that we not go through all the heartburn with the businesses on Pueblo Boulevard. And may I suggest Troy Avenue to be changed? That would be easy. We wouldn't have to go through PACOG. We wouldn't have to inform CDOT. We could do it right here now if we wanted to. You have it on your list. Would that be agreeable?
It is one of the areas that was identified on the list. First of all, I readily say that we are here for support, information, and perhaps a bit of direction. We are not experts on the logistics and the process of moving, of renaming a major roadway. And we are open and receptive to all information that we receive. We are committed to working in conjunction with city leadership to make the best decision that can be made for Pueblo.
And Troy Avenue is, except from bypass 50 to 4th Street north, it's a major arterial. So it would, I think it would really be appropriate. And especially if it will extend around the university and up in that area. And I think it'd be appropriate there. I just think that we're going to get a lot of pushback from all the businesses on Pueblo Boulevard. And my own personal opinion is Pueblo Boulevard is really an iconic street. It's one of the first streets that were put together over there. So, but I am definitely in favor of naming a street. And when I suggested Troy, it was because of that.
Thank you. Just for the council's edification, and be sure we all have the same information. We have been in contact with county commissioners, and the county commissioner suggestion was the Pueblo Boulevard. And the indication was that there's communication with CDOT in reference to that already. Where that communication had gone and how much communication there has been there. But we have been given the indication that CDOT has been communicated with concerning the 45, Highway 45 as a possibility.
Mayor.
Yeah, if the council is wanting us to, if they're in favor of renaming a road Martin Luther King Boulevard, what I'd suggest is that we get the staff working on it. We've got the 4 recommended ones here, although I'm a little uncertain about the second one. What was the second one? Highway 50 between 101 and 102?
102, because Highway 50 and 102 dovetailed on those towards Belmont, dovetailed off of the.
Oh, you're talking about Highway 50 bypass?
Right.
Okay. Okay,
State Highway 50, and it gets down to 102,
The-
exit right there and go through the eastern portion.
okay.
Belmont and Outreach.
And talk with the staff, ask them to look at these 4 suggested routes, find out maybe how many addresses would be affected. I'm not saying that should be the determinative factor. I personally think it ought to be a major street. When I was approached about Pueblo Boulevard, I thought that would be a good one. I don't think it makes sense to just do part of Pueblo Boulevard because then we have the situation where we've got Thatcher, Lincoln, 4th Street kind of thing, and maybe we ought to think about 4th Street and just make that Martin Luther King Boulevard and get rid of Lincoln. But that would probably be who knows how many addresses. But let's have the staff work on that a little bit and we can come back with a recommendation, working with the NAACP and Mr. Wiley and what other groups want to work on that in terms of this is what our recommendation is if the council is supportive of renaming a street in that fashion.
So the question on the table then, is the council supportive of renaming a street, Martin Luther King Jr. Drive? Councilman Martinez Ortega,
A resounding yes.
Councilor Graham,
Yes.
Councilor Tencio.
Definitely.
I'm a yes as well. Councilor Flores.
Yes.
Yeah, can we do this first? Councilor Maestri,
Yes.
Councilor Winter, so it's a yes.
Okay.
Unanimously. Councilor Flores.
I think it's important. I mean, this is the time right now to indicate what your preference is. And I thought your preference was Pueblo Boulevard. And whatever street I live off of Pueblo Boulevard, so I'm very familiar with that street. And yeah, there's going to be businesses that will have to change their addresses, but there's almost no residential properties. They all are facing the side streets. If you take it, not only that, from Highway 50, that's the road to get you to Pueblo West, all the way through probably when you get to Thatcher, there are nothing, it's nothing. There's no address that's changed at all. It's basically the businesses between Thatcher and probably Surfwood in that area that would be affected. And then you go on, it's all residential. None of those have Pueblo Boulevard addresses until you get down to maybe Lowe's and Culver's and the few businesses that are on the remaining part to Interstate 25. But I would like us, and I think it's important that you indicate to us what your primary or your first option is.
As I indicated, our first option is Pueblo Boulevard, and we were respectfully asking Pueblo Boulevard from the Highway 50 intersection to the exit of I-25 be considered. That was our specific preference, and I gave our reasons for that preference. But then again, I hasten to reiterate. I hasten to reiterate what I said earlier in that we realize that it's not a decision made in a vacuum. It's not a decision that's made haphazardly, and many things has to be considered. Highway 96 is our preference, but we understand that it's a process, and we're committed to working with the leadership to work through that process to bring it to fruition, whatever that may be.
And the
In
mayor's
working through it.
ideas, I think that'll get things rolling. So I like your idea.
We'll bring back some options.
Sure, thank
Okay,
you.
and we'll talk about the pros and cons of the options, and we'll invite everybody to participate in that, and then we'll have a discussion further about what the preference of council is with respect to those options.
Great. Any other final follow-up questions? Seeing none, it sounds like city staff will follow up with you after some research is done. Thank you for bringing this to our attention, and thanks, Ms. Mack and Mr. Wiley.
Thank you.
And I would like to invite each of you to participate in our 2023 MLK March and program. We will be focusing on service this year. And as I indicated, our theme is the time is now. We can't wait to be impactful. And I think that this year's program is going to be an outstanding program. And I hope to see everyone's faces there supporting it. And I do have flyers for each of you.
Thank you. And what time on Monday?
The march will start at 12 noon.
Noon. Okay.
And we will have a program at the end of the march at El Pueblo History Museum, where we will provide lunches and a program. And we're also working with some service projects where we will give out food to the homeless. And hopefully, we had talked about a cleanup, and we're hoping that you would be supportive of that also. Bringing the receptacles, the dumpsters down so that we can clean up the area. So we appreciate you and we thank you for your service and your support of our organization.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Mack. Thank you, Mr. Wiley. Moving right along in our agenda, our next agenda topic. Yes. And thank you all for showing up as well to give your support. Thanks, Ms. Mack. Our next agenda item are CSAC presentation. So it looks like Ms. Zimmer, Ms. Zimmer? No, yes. And Mr. Gallagher are at the podium.
Madam Chair, members of council, Mayor Gradisar. With me tonight is Nancy Zimmer, Chair of the Community Services Advisory Commission. And today we are here to present the Commission's 2023 recommendations to council. As every year, we ask quite a bit of the commissioners to review and come up with these recommendations for you. And this year was no different. The commission worked very diligently, compassionately, and with a high level of professionalism. And I'm just proud to be part of the process and doing my portion. It was a joy, painful, but a joy to go through this. And we will get down to the presentation for you. Daryl, if we could flip over. The commission as a whole interviewed every applicant, and all questions that they might have had were done in writing. It was resubmitted and all the questions were distributed to the commissioners. So they had everyone on the same field. Everyone knew what information was available. In years past, we would break into teams and each team would take a few agencies and report back. But this year, because we've had so many new members on the commission come forward, we kept everyone together and we interviewed each agency as a whole. And it was a recorded interview and the commissioners could go back, rewind, so to speak, and determine how questions were answered and had a greater level of comfort as they went through. A lot of effort, a lot of sitting in the chairs to come up with this. The breakdown of the funding is as shown on the slide. No particular order, a little bit more, no particular order. After school programs received about 12% of the funding. Childcare, 2 agencies, Southside Child Center, East Side Daycare Center, received 11.7% of the funding. Senior services primarily went to SRDA, but they had a myriad of programs. Veteran services, we had a new applicant this year. Education, almost 2%. Arts and culture, 6 different agencies receiving 6%. Food security, primarily Karen Share, received 10%. Disability services came from 3 separate agencies. And victim services received almost 14% of the funding. Mental health, 7. Homelessness, 3 agencies, bellwether agencies in the homeless area received 18%. Substance abuse and health services at 5%. And with that, I will let Nancy take over and give the play-by-play.
Sure. I just too want to share that it was a 12-member team of the commission. And as Brian shared, that we did have several new members on the team. It was a really intense process. I think, as he said, we had 34 applications. We had 4 new agencies, 2 agencies from last year that was funded step back, but then we also had 2 agencies that were funded previously step forward for a request too. So it's a really intense process. We really appreciated the opportunity to interview every agency. Some of the plans that we have before our next cycle is to have teams go out and visit each agency. So that's going to be kind of our quarterly plan as we move forward. So we do have that on-site experience because that is so important with that. On the RFP itself, RFA, sorry, it does really clearly identify what we're evaluating. And so I think that's really important. And so those agencies know what we're looking at as we're looking at the application. And so those categories include community impact, financial viability, organizational capacity and implementation, community collaboration and support, and then that quality of the RFA. For existing agencies, we also have all the quarterly reports that the staff receive. And so several questions that we had did concern about their performance over this last year. And so we really do take an in-depth look at how these organizations are performing and how they can best serve the city and county of Pueblo with that. We just kind of wanted to let you know that we really did do our due diligence, ask several questions, not only just once, but 2 times after interviews. We solicited more questions if we had that as well. And the staff has been just tremendous in responding to us.
Right.
Okay.
Get on to the individual.
All right. And so these are all listed as alphabetically.
It's not 100% alphabetical. It started out being 100% alphabetically. So we'll see which one pops up. No.
All right. So so in this order, and I'll just kind of give a big highlight of what the funding request was for. So a caring pregnancy center recommendation is $30,000 to address their parking lot issues and ADA improvements. Bessemer Historical Society for education programs, $11,003. The Boys and Girls Club of Pueblo, general operating for all 8 clubs, $109,512. And that is approximately 25% of the budget for Avondale and approximately 5% of the budget for the 6 clubhouses in the city and 1 in Pueblo West. Did you want to? Okay. BVBIA Soccer Club, purchase of equipment and provide low-income scholarships for fees, $4,875. Care and Share Food Bank, Hunger Relief Funds for staffing and food, $56,994. Casa of Pueblo, staffing, approximately 14% of their budget to assist with the director, lead case supervisors, and 3 case supervisors. $26,472. Catholic Charities, Emergency Housing Assistance and Representative Payee Program, which is about 8% of their budget, $37,274. Center Towards Self-Reliance, Peer Support Education and Independent Living Skills, and that is only approximately 0.75% of their budget, $8,372. Eastside Childcare Service, Childcare for Childcare Services, $59,800, which is 8% of their budget. El Pueblo History Museum, Friday school programming for grades 1 through 8, which is about 4%, and that's $8,755. My Kid is a new agency that is providing mental health services for underserved and underinsured families, $10,000. Mount Carmel Veterans Center, another new agency that is receiving funding, operational funding for community services for veterans, including a food pantry, 18,361. The Nature and Wildlife Discovery Center, outdoor education for K through 8, about 6% of the budget, 23,843. Posada, general operating, senior services and youth services, which is about 17% of the budget, $77,116. Pueblo Child Advocacy Center, victim services, about 5%, $39,544. Pueblo Cooperative Care Center, food sack program, nutrition on wheels and computer equipment, $46,946. Pueblo Diversified Industries, social, relational, cyber boundaries and interpersonal skill workshops, 9,567. Pueblo Hispanic Education Foundation program workshops to focus on first generational students ages 16 to 18, 9,726. Pueblo Municipal Band, insurance for volunteer band equipment and members, $4,378. Pueblo Performing Arts Guild, emerging artist development, gallery space and business exposure, 8,320. Pueblo Railway Museum, operations and maintenance of free museum, 7,255. Pueblo Rape Crisis Services, victim services for approximately 450 individuals, 3% of the budget at 9,683. Pueblo Rescue Mission, shelter operations, 59,667. SEL tutoring, GED attainment and tutoring services for 100 participants, which is 5% of their budget, 7,577, 7,577. Serviciosa de la Raza, another brand new agency to the CSAC process for mental health services for individuals with limited English proficiency, 52,211. Pueblo Heritage Museum, general operating costs, about 7%, $5,701. Crossroads Turning Point, substance abuse treatment. They have a $17 million agency budget, and so we are recommending 19,562. Southside Children's Center, childcare service, 7% of their budget, 53,434. Spark the Change, providing mental health counseling, supervised graduate level clinicians, 6,540. The Arca Pueblo Guardianship Program for individuals with developmental disabilities and operations, 9,849. SRDA for their various programs and independent living and foster grandparent programs, 73,125. And then for the YWCA, shelter case management, Teresa's Place and operations and childcare, 58,573.
Total of $964,035 between the. Thank you. But combined between the city and the county.
So as we mentioned, we had 34 grant requests. We did recommend funding for 32 applications, 2 grant requests that we received. We believe need to have further development. And so we're hoping to provide support for nonprofit agency development so that they can have a better proposal with that. And then the list of the 12 people were also on the
Clicker's
with
not
that.
clicking, but we'd like to thank you. It's a sensitive mic today. I just would like to thank the commission members for all their hard work. We've got them listed here. Nancy, Chair, Tony Montoya, Vice Chair. He called me today. He's had his socket of his shoulder removed and replaced with the cup of his shoulder, and I didn't want to hear anymore. So he said, I really can't be here tonight. And we said, great, you're on the IR. But Daniela Beta, Julie Fairman, Shauna Farmer, Cindy Lau, Mary Lee, Michael Meservy, Nick Potter, Stephen Rodriguez, Sandra Scher, and Nick Trejo all deserve a round. The amount of work, I can attest that they worked very hard this season, that's for sure. And that concludes our report. If you have any further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Zimmer, and thanks, Mr. Gallagher, for that presentation. What questions are there from council? Ms. Zimmer, you said that there would be quarterly site visits.
Yes, we're going to be we meet 2 weeks from today, and we're going to be scheduling a calendar so that we can make sure that we hit all the agencies and have at least site visits, when we broke them up into smaller groups, can be anywhere between 45 to an hour visits. And so we're going to break down those agencies and then try to hit them quarterly. It might be every month. We're kind of still figuring out what that schedule is going to be, but we're hoping to hit all agencies before the next funding request.
And is that kind of a new program for CSAC to do site visits?
Well, we broke up into teams before. And so each, like I know the team I was on last year had 4 agencies that we visit, and then we came back as a group and reported back. But we really believe that it's more beneficial if everyone is able to attend and be able to participate in that on-site visit.
And for the 2 grants that were not recommended for funding, I'm curious about what areas they served or what buckets you would put them in earlier.
One of the agencies was using horse therapy for mentoring and youth development. And there used to be an agency in Pueblo West about 10, 15 years ago who did that. And it's a very challenging type of service to take on. The insurance liability is rather high, and there are many more steps to put a public service together than having a place and a horse. And we just need to bring them along to make it safe for our for anyone who would use the program. So at this time, it was a very good idea and a novel name for an agency, but you have to take some time to stand it up. And another agency was providing after-school youth services, and they were very successful, but their vision was kind of separating, and instead of concentrating on what they were doing well, they were expanding a little more, and they lost a little focus in their presentation to the commission.
Yeah, there was some confusion with that for sure.
But in years past, we've put the bulk of the work in the last 4 months of the year. And with this year, by scheduling the interviews as an ongoing on-site inspection, we'll be able to distribute the workload for the commission throughout the 12 months instead of everything in 4 months.
Councilor Maestri?
Did you say that the commissioners have the privilege to watch the interview tapes? Why would you not extend the same privilege to council, since we're also making the decisions?
They are on the share, but we could give permission. We hadn't recorded them in the past, so we didn't include you simply because we had never done it before. In the process of working out, we can certainly make it available.
Yeah, we get a lot of questions from, our constituents as to why we would, vote for things or not vote for things. And, background information is always helpful in those conversations with transparency to the constituents. Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you so much for all your hard work, and please pass on the thank you to your other commission members as well. I know that it's a volunteer job, so I appreciate it.
Thank you, dear Miss.
All right, so that concludes the public portion of our agenda. The rest of our work session, we will adjourn into executive session. So I will now take a motion to adjourn to executive session.
I move to go into executive session for the purpose of determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and or instructing negotiators under CRS section 24-6-402, prin 4, prin E. And the following additional details: are provided for identification purposes to instruct negotiators regarding settlement of claims against the city of Pueblo.
Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Excellent. We will now adjourn into executive session. For those in the room, we will actually come back at 7 o'clock for the regular meeting, where the regular meeting will pick up like normal.